if you want to continue to work on goals. I know that you feel like you have accomplished a lot, but everyone always needs to have more goals, and there's always more that we can work towards. So how do you feel about that?
I would like to make more goals.
That's great. So what kind of goals would you like to create now?
I would like to create maybe physical goals for the military so I could start preparing for that more.
That's a great idea. Tell me more specifically, what kind of goal you would like to create.
Making the mile times and um, some of the other fitness um, requirements like push-ups, sit-ups, the weight training, all that.
That's great. So how are you planning on doing that?
I have to um, print out all of the test passing goals and then hopefully
Requirements.
work towards them.
And as far as a homework assignment goes, what would you like to try to do in the next week to report back to me?
I want to start writing down my mile times and um, my reps.
So it seems like writing things down and keeping a log has been working really well for you with other different things in the last few weeks. So along with your substance use log, even though you are pretty much done using, I still want you to log whether you use or not. Maybe you can use a log to write down your goal times for the mile and your sit-ups and your push-ups and things like that. Another thing I forgot to ask you before we go on to the next goal is I asked you to write down how often you got anxious, when you got anxious, what time of day you got anxious. Did you see a certain pattern regarding when you get anxious and what causes your anxiety?
I would be most anxious when I'm around people.
Okay, so is that just in general or certain people or?
I think it's worse with new people that I meet.
So every day when you went out to see new people, that's when your anxiety would kick in.
Yeah.
Any other times that you noticed your anxiety?
Um, Whenever I have to call my father, I get really anxious.
Okay. Otherwise, it's not the type of anxiety that you have all day long.
No, I don't think so.
Good. So your assignment for next week will be bring in a log of your at least your goals for your mile time, your sit-up time, and I want you to track what you've done so far to train yourself to get those times, and what else you need to do to reach those goals. I also want you to continue writing in your substance log, and this time, if you have a craving to use a substance, I want you to write down what is triggering you to want to have that substance, whether you do it or you don't. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
So last time you did use your substance, you said you were stressed. This time I want you to write down when you're stressed and what your thinking process was to either decide to not use that substance or to use it. What else would you like to work on in the next week?
Um, Maintaining at least a phone call every week or so with my father.
Okay, so what is your plan for that? Let me hear some sort of action planning regarding that.
Whether it's leaving a message or contacting him directly, maybe I could just learn his schedule so I could tell when he's home and around and available to talk.
Okay, great. And it seems like, doing these outside activities, outside of therapy have been really helpful for you. And then it gives you a way to work on your recovery outside of the therapist's office. I think it's important that people take what they learn in here and they bring it to the outside because that's the real world. And I think you're doing a really good job at, making your goals and setting them and working on them outside of the office. Do you agree? Is there any other concerns or anything else you want to work on when it comes to your anxiety besides logging, when you become anxious? And I know that you're good with your breathing techniques, so we could take that off of your goal list. We'll use those techniques, just use them when you need them.
Okay. Um, maybe I can make it a point to hang out with someone at least once or go out with a friend at least once or twice a week, not just once in a while.
And do something productive.
Yeah.
Whether it be going to a movie, you know, going to the gym, going out for lunch, any events coming up in the next week that you're interested in attending.
I'm not sure. I'd have to check.
Okay. And we always seem to have a goal regarding your mom. So I know things have been really good with mom, and you see her often, and you do live with her. But is there anything new that you want to work on with mom? Anything that you feel like you need to talk to her about? Anything you feel like you need to improve on?
I should probably keep her updated with um, the list I've been setting. I think she'd be proud to hear how far like the drug list has come along and the
Yeah.
anxiety list.
You should definitely share that with your mother. I think that sharing those will help you because she will know what you're working towards and she could help support you in reaching those goals. And also, I'm sure she would be very proud, just like I am, to see that your log is decreasing and that you're doing a really good job with your anxiety and making new friends. Have you had any contact with your old friends recently? And you haven't heard from them in any way? So how does that make you feel that, they haven't contacted you and that they seem to not really, you know, be interested on why you're not seeing them or wanting to get your friendship back? How is that making you feel?
It kind of just reassures me that I'm making the right decisions because I can tell they really don't care about what happens and what's gonna happen for me.
So do you regret or have any upset feelings or anything like that regarding kind of distancing yourself from these friendships?
Not at all.
And I think that's a good thing. I think it's moving on and being positive and you're at that time in your life as you're an adult now and you're learning the consequences of things and you really have these goals and you're really goal oriented. And it's good to hear you talk about your strengths and the positive things towards getting into the military school. And have your feelings changed about going back and actually getting your high school diploma?
I would like to.
So your mind kind of has changed a little bit regarding I don't have time for school. I think we, go back and try to finish. Is that something you want to do before you go back, before you go into the military or after?
Um, Either or. I'm not in a rush to do it. I just want it to get it done eventually.
That's great. And any updates regarding when the next test is for the military? Like, do you have a date that you'll be off probation and have to start really focusing on your military work?
I should be off of probation in the next couple of months, if not sooner.
Especially if your behavior's been better.
Yeah.
Is there anything behavior-wise that you feel like you need to change for your probation, or do you feel like you have reached the behavior that you want to have today?
I think I've reached a pretty good point.
That's great. You've come a very far way, and you know now all there is to do is improve and to continue on your strengths and your goals. So next week when you come in, we'll talk about how your substance log went. We'll also talk about that anxiety log again. And we'll also talk about things that you enjoyed doing last week. Now, before you go, let me hear one thing that you're going to do for John this week.
Um, I'm going to make it a point to try and go to the gym every day and possibly start changing up my diet.
That's great. And, remember all that you've been doing to maintain your anxiety and your coping skills. Do you have any questions for me or for your assignments to work on until next time?
Um, no, I don't think so.
All right, well, then I hope that you enjoy your week, and I will see you next time. See you then. Thank you.